right now our top 20 traders are up around 500,000. So there's some people slaying in some pretty serious size. And I mean, Bitcoin right now is down 30% over the last couple of weeks. If you've been short with a big account, a lot of money to be made. And obviously having a ginormous, multi-billion-dollar business backing you, I think instills a little bit of confidence. And on the tool side, absolutely, we are working actively to integrate fully with the Kraken terminal. So my engineering team would kill me if I tried to give you a date on when that will be ready, but early next year is my understanding, where you will actually be able to log in to Kraken and it will be a single sign-on. So you log into Kraken and you'll be able to trade your Breakout account directly on the Kraken terminal.
Bitcoin has been ripping lately with huge volatility and big intraday swings. And if you've been trading indices, gold, or Forex, you probably noticed how Bitcoin is moving faster than almost everything else. Hello everyone, I'm Lien. Today I'm talking to Maine, the co-founder of Breakout Prop, a crypto-only prop firm backed by Kraken, one of the largest regulated exchanges. So Breakout is redefining how traders access and trade crypto, and that's what Maine's going to talk to us about today. So Maine, for traders who mostly trade indices, gold, or Forex, which is really people on our channel and our audience, why should they care about crypto prop trading right now?
For sure. Awesome. Thanks for having me, and thanks for the questions. So I think the biggest advantage of crypto is its 24/7, 365 nature, right? You mentioned volatility. I think that's a major aspect as well, but the markets don't close. So if you're someone who's trading equities, you're trading Forex or commodities, you're used to kind of trading around certain session times, and of course, within those windows when the markets are actually open. Crypto does not close. So they are 24/7, 365. You can have a move on Monday morning during New York Open. You can have a move in the middle of the night on Saturday. So I think people who might be looking for another thing to basically trade when the other markets are closed, crypto is a great option. And then to your point, it's extremely volatile. In terms of, comparable markets, crypto's still very much in its nascence. It's super early, right? Like, I think the total market cap of all of crypto is $5 trillion. It's a lot of money, but you compare that to gold, to indices, it's really nothing. So there's still a lot more volatility, asynchronous opportunities, and for people who are looking to trade anything that moves, crypto is one of those things that's always moving, and when it moves a lot.
I mean, you're absolutely right. Crypto is always moving, but volatility is also a double-edged sword, right? In many ways, crypto, Bitcoin can move 3 to 5 times faster than indices, gold, Forex, which is great for some traders, but it may be a little intimidating for others. So can you talk a little bit about how crypto prop trading can help some traders avoid those catastrophic losses they may be afraid of when trading, crypto in their regular accounts?
Of course. I mean, just a little over a month ago, we had a massive liquidation event in the crypto markets on October 10th, where almost $20 billion of value, right, was liquidated from traders. So much like other markets, there is risk in trading in crypto. Sometimes it's even more so because there's this volatility. And this is why I'm such a big proponent of prop firms, not just for crypto, but for all markets, because it really allows you to trade without that full portfolio risk, right? Like in crypto, in traditional markets, if you're putting your entire paycheck on a brokerage or on a crypto exchange, you could technically lose all of that money, right? Maybe you get on tilt, maybe something happens. In the crypto markets, there's different forms of leverage that can use your entire account as leverage or margin for your trades. So you have to be very careful. Prop eliminates that. When you're trading with a company like Breakout, the amount that you're maximum going to lose is whatever you paid for that evaluation. So if you bought a $100,000 account, whatever you paid for that, that is the most amount of money that you can lose. Even if you go on a crazy losing streak, if the market dumps and you're long, you're free and you're safe from that liquidation. And I think it's a really good training ground, really, for people who maybe are, they're no longer paper trading, but they're not quite ready to go and put their paycheck on a brokerage, on a crypto account. Prop fits, I think, really nice in the middle where you can get your feet wet, learn how to trade in volatile markets without having nearly as much risk.
The word that you use, training ground, is very, very proper and correct. And the reason why I say that is because A lot of people, like you said, they see the volatility in crypto, they're a little intimidated, or they may not be watching crypto on a regular basis. And so they may have an opinion, they may see the market moving, they may want to dabble in crypto. And Breakout Prop really offers that opportunity because there's no time limits, correct? I mean, you can enter, put a trade on, then go about, trade your indices and Forex or gold, and come back to it later on without the pressure of always having a monthly fee and always having to feel the requirement to trade.
I think one of the things that's helped us really gain a large part of the market share is the simplicity of our rules. When we launched the company, we obviously did a lot of market research, looking at our competitors, and seeing as there wasn't really a crypto-centric prop firm at the time, when we built it, being a crypto native myself, as well as my other co-founders, we wanted to make sure that this is something that crypto traders would understand. If I started talking to a crypto trader about consistency rules and activation fees and minimum trading days, they would be looking at me like, what the heck is this? I don't want to have to use a dictionary to understand what product I'm trading. So we wanted to make it really simple. The only rules that you need to focus on are your daily drawdown and your overall drawdown. And those are both balance-based. That's basically it. Other than outright cheating, you can trade however you want. If you want to trade during the news, if you want to only trade on the weekends, if you want to enter a trade and not look at it for a week, it's still going to be there, assuming you don't breach any of the drawdown limits. We wanted to make it as trader friendly and as easy to understand as possible. And so you're totally right. There's no time limits. There's no consistency rules. There's no minimum trading days. There's no monthly activation fees. It's meant to be simple, and it's meant to replicate as realistic as possible what you'll be dealing with in the real market. Because once you're trading your own personal account, that stuff doesn't exist. You can trade however you want.
Now, for members of my community that are watching, you will know that we are very sensitive to news and breaking news. So as Maina pointed out, oftentimes news or tweets will come out on Friday night or Saturday or Sunday morning where you don't have the opportunity to react. So being able to do that in the Breakout account, because it's open 24/7, can be something that allows you to get a leg up on the movements in the markets before the regular markets that we're all trading begin. So this is a different way to take advantage of news because oftentimes when the news hits and the market opens, it's already too late. So you don't have that in crypto, right?
Yeah, I mean, right now we have someone who's in charge of the White House in America, Donald Trump, who likes to tweet a lot of stuff before it even hits the news. And some of this stuff has market impact. And if you're trading futures, you might say, okay, well, Trump tweeted about some tariff deal with China. I'm going to have to see how the market opens on Sunday and see how the futures open. And then Monday morning, I'm going to make my decision based on that. The crypto market's reacting instantly. So completely agree. It can be a bit of a precursor to what the other markets are going to do. And to that end, crypto has also become a lot more in sync, specifically Bitcoin, with these larger indices. Bitcoin over the last few years is starting to trade a lot more like a tech stock, like an NVIDIA, like a NASDAQ as a whole. And then as you go down the risk tail with your other cryptos, those become kind of your higher beta, almost like single name items. So yeah, completely agree. It can give you a leg up. It can be a predictor of what the other markets might do and how it's going to react to news that happens at nighttime, happens at the weekend, because we seem to have a lot of that lately.
You're absolutely right. We talk about risk on, risk off a lot on our channel. And, Bitcoin is the quintessential risk on, risk off measure. When, investors are nervous, you see Bitcoin moving a lot more aggressively and faster than the other instruments, while traders in the other markets are still trying to figure out what's going on. So I think there's a clarity sometimes in trading crypto, especially Bitcoin, that you may not get in the other markets, as the other markets trying to figure out how bad will the world get, how bad is growth. So I think, that is something, some traders can look at, even though it is more volatile, but because we've got these, safeguards in place with the crypto account, it kind of prevents those catastrophic losses that people have been so worried about with trading crypto and Bitcoin in the years past. But let me ask you, Ming, talk to me about the difference between trading with Breakout Prop and some of the other prop firms that already offer crypto and Bitcoin.
So when we first launched, I had traded with prop firms in the past. I knew FTMO and Top Step, and I saw this proliferation of kind of prop in general as a trading, a way to trade, a venue to trade. About 3 years ago, I saw all of a sudden all these new props were launching. I was like, okay, well, what's going on here? Why is there this massive growth in this specific space? And when I saw that, people were very, very avid to jump into these prop firms and use them as another way to get access to capital, I said, okay, we have something here. This is a growing niche in the trading space. People want to trade prop. They want to have access to their money. So the first thing that I did was like, is there a crypto option? And of course, I came across, FTMO, one of the biggest prop firms on the planet. They offer crypto. All of these other FX and CFD firms offer crypto. But what I found is none of them approached it from a crypto native point of view. And what I mean by that is when you look at some of these firms that offer crypto, they might offer Bitcoin, Ethereum, and XRP and Litecoin. Whereas we offer over 60 different coins. And during the mania that we had, several months ago with the meme coins, we had over 100 coins at one point. So we had a much wider asset selection that was a lot more current with what was going on in the market. Something I touched on earlier as well was the rule set. We wanted to have rules that were easy to understand. So there are no consistency rules. There's no anti-gambling rules, no margin requirements, no news trading restrictions. We wanted to have none of that. We wanted to be simple and easy. We wanted to have a more modern UI. A lot of these FX specific firms are using like MT4, MT5, which looks like it's from 1995. So we wanted to have something that was going to be a little bit more familiar for a crypto trader because we're much more used to kind of an advanced centralized exchange UI. And then most importantly was the spreads. This is something where crypto traders are extremely sensitive. So crypto has some differences in terms of what you can see versus traditional markets. In crypto, we have layer 1 and layer 2 data, meaning I can see the entire order book. I can see all the bid depth and the ask depth all the way up and down. I can see all the liquidation levels. It's all visible to you because part of crypto, it's on the blockchain. It's all kind of public information. And with that, and there being so much competition, is we have razor tight spreads. We're talking like $1 on Bitcoin on the big exchanges, 10 cents on Ethereum, a penny on Solana. Whereas some of these other prop firms, spread on Bitcoin's $100. If you're not an avid crypto trader and you say, okay, I just want to buy a little Bitcoin for the long term, maybe $100 spread is not a big deal. But if you're in and out of the market multiple times a day, then it is a big deal. So that is going to be kind of, I think, the biggest differentiating factors for us. So I'd say it's just the feel of the terminal, the rule set, and then the actual coins spreads that you're able to trade differentiate us from what's offered by current prop firms with crypto.
I mean, you're absolutely right. Spreads, at the end of the day, if you're a serious trader, spreads are extraordinarily important. And if I've actually looked at the spreads on your platform and the spreads on, some of the other, broader prop firms that offer different type of asset classes. And it is far more competitive and your feeds are faster and everything is just more dynamic. You integrate Tradingview. So let me ask you, for, a Forex or indices trader who wants to start trading Bitcoin, what do you think is the first thing that they need to understand that is about trading Bitcoin that may be different from other markets? We talked a little bit about the correlation between Bitcoin and the overall market, but what are some of the key differences that they can use to their advantage or they need to be aware of?
I mean, the first thing I would say is you'd be surprised at how well the strategies that you're implementing and applying on traditional markets will work on crypto. I think people have this misconception of crypto being like, oh, it's a totally different asset class. The strategy that I'm using here, it's not going to work. You'd be surprised it does. I mean, at the end of the day, markets are effectively a map of kind of human emotion, right? Throughout the day, we have periods of fear and greed, and a lot of these kind of technical analysis principles, is this a good trend line? Well, if enough people think it is, it's going to be a trend line or a level of support. Those things are the same in crypto. And I would even go further to say it's almost, in some instances, it can be more predictable in crypto because the participants are not as sophisticated. And I'm not trying to say crypto traders are dumb. I'm just saying that the level of institutional, high frequency, really, really sharp, algo-driven trading that's going on in the TradFi markets, it hasn't fully migrated to crypto. It's getting there. Crypto's definitely getting more advanced. We're having much more sharp traders, but you can still find certain cryptos that trade much like penny stocks where there isn't that, there's not a market maker in the market. Like this is literally player versus player in a very small market where with not a crazy amount of money, you can move this market. So the stuff you're doing will work. So don't think you have to completely reimagine your entire strategy. What I will say is due to the fact that the market's 24/7, crypto definitely doesn't adhere to the market hours quite the same way that TradFi does, where, at New York Open, you're almost going to guaranteed have a move. Bitcoin, I'd say yes, for sure. It's a lot more similar to ES futures, NASDAQ futures, but some of these other cryptos, they move in their own rhythm. So getting used to that, getting comfortable with saying, hey, I'm only going to be at my computer from 9 a.m. till noon on the Eastern Standard Time. That may work, but you also might miss out on opportunities, later in the day, in the weekend. So expecting things to be the exact same in terms of when the volatility is going to occur, that's something that's going to be a little bit different. I'd say another thing that is really important is crypto is often very correlated with each other. So you want to be careful not over-indexing in one direction or another, because if you're long Bitcoin and then you're long 5 or 6 altcoins and Bitcoin corrects, there's a very good chance that all of those altcoins are going to correct in a correlated fashion as well. So you want to be careful that you're not, kind of oversized and you have too much risk, because really crypto is its own asset class. It's like, okay, you have AI, you have manufacturing, you have commodities. These things can have bull markets and bear markets, separate from each other. Whereas crypto, as much as there are differences, the general ebbs and flows, it's a very correlated market. So you want to be careful with that as well. But otherwise, I think most people, they're scared because of the barrier to entry seems very high. How do I buy crypto? Where do I store my Bitcoin? What's a wallet? What's the blockchain? One of the beautiful things about a company like Breakout is you don't have to do any of that. You can buy your Breakout account with a credit card. You don't have to worry about setting up a hardware wallet and self-custody and all this other stuff. There's no counterparty risk like we saw with FTX when they blew up a few years ago. That is not an issue here. So I think that's an awesome, kind of bridge as well for people who are trading those other markets. And you say, hey, I've been interested in crypto, but I don't want to set up on an exchange that's based in another country and I don't trust it. Breakout might be a good option for that.
I mean, that's absolutely right. I mean, the exchange-based model is attractive, but it's far less easy and far less liquid to get in and out and to actually, convert it back to your dollars. What I find is that, correct me if I'm wrong, is that when it comes to an instrument like Bitcoin, usually when there is a breakout, not to say he should use your name, but when there's a breakout, there's usually far more continuation than some of the traditional instruments. So what you will find is that there is less of a risk of getting in too late, because you'll see the breakout happening and then you'll have time to get in, and it will oftentimes, in my experience, especially in the downside in those kind of bear runs, that extends much more. So that window of opportunity that a trader has is greater than in a traditional instrument like gold or the NASDAQ, where there could be a lot more two-way action and buyers swooping in. So for those of you that like momentum, like trends, like breakouts, like continuation, with confirmation, I think that you get that much more in Bitcoin than you may in some of the other indices, simply because of its kind of massive movement / volatility. That can also be opportunity, correct?
100%. I mean, if you look at the traditional markets, there's so many players and entities trading on different scales, right? Where there is people who are in and out in a day. There are large entities who are positioning for weeks and for months. And oftentimes you get that, choppier, could be viewed as choppier type of price action. Crypto trends beautifully. When it's bullish, it's really bullish. When it's bearish, it's really bearish. And these trends can be relatively predictable. And to your point, they can run. And so you can actually say, hey, once this thing makes a new low, it's not just gonna, eke a little lower and then bounce. It's gonna really, really roll over. And these trends can last months. They can last years. And similar to like what you're seeing with gold right now, where we're finally seeing this blow off the top that I feel like my entire adult life, I've been told gold's gonna go on a bull run eventually. I think I've seen 4 entire bull bear cycles in crypto in the last decade, just on Bitcoin, where we have an entire run up, multiple 1,000% gain to an 80-90% drawdown over and over again. Some people wait their entire lifetimes to see a bull market like this in a commodity. In crypto, you can get these in weeks, in months, in years.
So what kind of, talk to me about the opportunity at Breakout. What kind of capital can a trader ultimately manage as they're moving up with Breakout over the long term?
So we have accounts from as little as $5,000 right up to $200,000. And on top of that, you get leverage as well. So we offer up to 5x leverage for Bitcoin and Ethereum and 2x for everything else. So in theory, with a $200,000 account, you could open up $1 million notional size position on Bitcoin and Ethereum. I'm not suggesting you do that. That's a big position to have open. It doesn't take a big move on $1 million to, blow your account, but you can do it. And that's huge. And when we're talking about volatility, you're getting both the benefit of a larger account and leverage on top of that in an extremely volatile market. So we have a $100,000 account that we sell for $1,000. To command that trade size with only $1,000 is quite spectacular in a market that can go up 10% in a single day. Where that $100,000 account, if you're in a 100K position, a 10% move is $10,000. So it's very significant. And we offer scaling and stuff like that as well for really, really top people. But right now it's up to $200,000. And with how volatile the market is, that's plenty. We're seeing people pull out significant sums of money every month from the firm. We have a completely live leaderboard that shows the top 20 traders at the firm at any given time. I think last month, just our top 20 traders took home $1 million, which is pretty crazy. Right now, our top 20 traders are up around $500,000. So there's some people slanging some pretty serious size. And I mean, Bitcoin right now is down 30% over the last couple of weeks. If you've been short with a big account, a lot of money to be made.
Well, you're talking about a lot of the success stories. Can you tell us a little bit about any type of patterns that you see? Like, for example, how long have many of these traders been trading for? Are they, relatively new? Are they the ones that have been there for, trading for a while? Is there anything that separates the success stories and the ones that are getting paid out so much compared to everyone else?
Yeah, if you track our leaderboard, you'll see some familiar names. Now, typically, there's always going to be gamblers with prop firms. There's going to be the people who are treating this as like a lottery ticket or, like a slot machine, and they're going in there and they're trying to flip a coin consecutively. That'll happen. We've had big payouts to people who have longed and then they longed again and they happen to, make a bunch of money. But the most consistent people on our leaderboard are people who really understand the math behind prop firms and what you're getting for the money. And then they're applying a very systematic strategy. So they're risking a set percentage on every single trade. They understand that they have this much drawdown that they can lose. And then they're using the account to perfection, in my opinion, mathematically, where they say, okay, for $1,000, I'm trading a 100K account. They're not going to risk 2 or 3% on a trade like you might on a personal account, because they understand you're limited by that drawdown. So generally what they'll do is they will trade up that account a little bit and build a little bit of a buffer. And then they will be, able to take a more aggressive swing at that point, because our drawdown on the one step, for example, is static. So once you build up that buffer, that drawdown doesn't move. So that's something that we see is super common. Another thing that's super common is people who understand that they're effectively buying a ticket and they will use the entire account drawdown for a trade. These people oftentimes will have very high payouts, but they'll also spend a lot. So maybe they spend, 10 grand, but their payouts are, $25,000. And they understand the mathematics of prop again, where they're saying, hey, this is a tool for me to use. So these people I consider very sharp. They understand the math. They're using good risk management. Obviously, you have people down the other side of that curve as well, who are, much more gambling centric. But our top traders, they have a clear strategy that we can see from the data. They're trading usually only a couple of assets. They're not trading 30 different tokens. They're focusing on 1 or 2. And they have very, very good sound risk management. And I think that's kind of a hallmark for, any successful trader, prop or otherwise.
I think that's incredible advice. So, we are big fans of broker-powered prop firms. And, Breakout Prop is powered, recently got acquired by one of the largest exchanges in the world. Is this a vote of confidence that they have in the prop industry in general? Are they bringing some of their tools to your customers? Can you talk a little bit about that?
When we built this business, we knew that one of the most important things in prop was reputation. there is unfortunately some, shady operators in the space, and there's some shady tactics and practices around, really restrictive, not super clear rules, denying of payouts. Someone passes, they do a risk review and they change the rules of engagement. We said, we don't want that to be us. So from a very early point, we wanted to be the firm that is extremely highly rated by our community. We don't deny payouts. So we do on-demand payouts. You can request your payout anytime, as many times as you like in a day. They'll get paid within 24 hours. We're the only firm that does that. We have a one-step that you can pass in a single trade. We're not going to punish you for passing your account in a single trade. And this allowed us to build this reputation of being trustworthy. Like, if you trade with us, if you spend your money with us, you're going to get your payout. And it, in my opinion, is one of the main reasons why we were able to grow so quickly and kind of dominate our niche within prop. And now there are competitors. There's other crypto prop firms that exist. And I think what Kraken realized very early on is that this is coming to crypto one way or another, right? Just like prop firms have now taken over futures. It seems like every futures traders now is using an Alpha Capital, Top Steps, and Apex, and whatever. Crypto prop was coming. And I think they saw very early on that, hey, if we get involved with a company like Breakout, who's got this really big lead, this big moat, we're the biggest in the space by far, we can kind of supercharge this and really dominate the space. And it's another tool for Kraken to offer their customers, because at the end of the day, Kraken is a massive, very wide business. There's a plethora of different ways in which you can interact with Kraken. It's not just trading. You can buy spot, you can earn yield, you can trade US futures on Kraken, you can do all sorts of stuff. They have Venmo-like products where you can be used for payments. And now prop is just another avenue for people to get involved with crypto and get into the Kraken ecosystem. And obviously having a ginormous, multi-billion-dollar business backing you, I think instills a little bit of confidence. And on the tool side, absolutely, we are working actively to integrate fully with the Kraken terminal. So my engineering team would kill me if I tried to give you a date on when that will be ready, but early next year is my understanding, where you will actually be able to log in to Kraken, and it will be a single sign-on. So you log into Kraken and you'll be able to trade your Breakout account directly on the Kraken terminal, which is, I think, going to be a huge uplift, because they have an awesome, super advanced, crypto-friendly, obviously, terminal. So that's going to be super exciting for us. And then just in general, having, this kind of winded our sails, allowing us to continue to experiment, continue to grow, pour money into marketing, pour money into our product. It's just really the perfect fit.
I've done my homework, and aside from the reputational legitimacy that Kraken brings to Breakout Prop, you've also got stellar reviews on Prop for a Mash, Trustpilot, pretty much everywhere that you look, even Reddit. Seems like people are very happy and satisfied with the experience that they have on Breakout Prop, regardless of whether they're an active crypto trader or they're just starting out and they're using it as a secondary account to their trading when they actually see the opportunity in crypto. So, we've done our homework, and, we hope that you'll understand that as well. Thank you so much for joining us today, Maine. Everyone who's watching this video, make sure you check out breakoutprop.com, and you can get 2% off with the code BKSAVE. This is the only discount they ever offer. They told me they never discount this. They're
bigger than I offer. I don't give any.
Right. And it's because, the spreads are so tight, and, the margins are thin because they're giving it all to you as traders. And so definitely check them out. Thank you so much.